We found out that Abbagail had cystic fibrosis through a sweat test. We needed to get the sweat test after Abbagail had had multiple appointments for her being underweight and having upper respiratory infections. We ended up seeing a different pediatrician than we had normally seen, and she asked us if we knew what cystic fibrosis was, and we had heard of it, but we weren't sure what it was. So she recommended that we go that exact day and get a sweat test at Children's Hospital. So the first test that we got, Abbagail came back and her numbers were right where they should have been for someone who has CF. So we found out that Abbagail had cystic fibrosis February 11, 2016.
They told Krissy that she needed to have a sweat test done for Abby, and she wasn't quite sure what it was. And then she called me and told me she had took her for an upper respiratory infection again, and she had quite a few, so I was like, well, go ahead and take her. And then she called me and told me, well, that's for cystic fibrosis, and I wasn't really quite sure what cystic fibrosis was. So she told me that Abby had cystic fibrosis, and I'll never forget it. I just fell to the ground. But since then, Abby has totally proved me wrong. She has fought like no other. She's my true superhero. She's a true fighter. During her surgery for the pancreas removal, which she had her spleen removed and other things done, the wait at Children's, she had a lot of support. She had all her family there. We stayed there the whole time, and it was really scary. I think Abby was braver than any of us for her age. I don't think I've ever been that scared in my entire life. The mom and the dad could go back and see her at first, and then me and the grandma and papa could go back and see her. And when she was laying there and they had her tied down and she was on life support, I talked to her, and she could hear everything I said to her. She was nodding her head. I've never seen a kid so strong in my life. She wanted to come off of that life support right then. I knew then that she was such a fighter and nothing was going to get her down.
So when I got the call that Abbagail had cystic fibrosis, I was scared. I had no idea what that meant exactly, what our life was going to be like, what her life was going to be like. People with cystic fibrosis have a shorter life expectancy than everyone else. We got a CF doctor, a GI doctor, and we started doing treatments right away. Abbagail started doing vest therapy, airway clearance. She was put on multiple different medications immediately to try to catch what we had, all the time that we had lost from her not getting a diagnosis until she was 2. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease that you're born with. Unfortunately, we did not find out at birth that Abby had it. We, like I said, found out when she was 2. So for someone to have cystic fibrosis, they have to have 2 mutations. You get 1 mutation from your mother and 1 from your father. Unfortunately for Abbagail, she has 2 very rare mutations. One, no one else in the United States has, and the other one is just very rare. Not many people have it. So when it comes to trying new medications, new therapies, she cannot try them because they do not know how her body will respond or react. It truly takes a village to raise a child, and someone with cystic fibrosis, it's even harder. You need support, and the support that Abbagail has from everyone is just amazing. Every year we do the Great Strides Walk for cystic fibrosis to raise money for the foundation. We do everything we can to help raise money to make people aware of exactly what cystic fibrosis is and how important it is to donate to the foundation, because that is where they get the funding for the medications for people who have CF to try. Without the medications, then their life expectancy would be even shorter.
Okay, what I hope for Abby, what I know for that will happen in my heart is that Abby will keep fighting. I hope she grows up to graduate high school. I hope she goes to college. I hope she's able to have a family. I hope the research continues. In my heart, I know Abby will probably be one of the biggest fighters. We go to the walk every year for her. She embraces what she has. She very seldom complains. She doesn't let any of it get her down. She's just the happiest child in the world.